Tanse, everybody. My name is Lisa Marie Bourque. I'm a Métis person of this area, which is Treaty 8 lands, homelands of the Métis people, and also to our visitors. Welcome, everyone, to the 2021 Human Rights Day panel discussion. I am Lisa Marie Bourque. We are here today to celebrate the International Human Rights Day, discuss the principles of equality and non-discrimination, and brainstorm the best ways to reduce inequalities. We will start the day by a blessing from the Elder Pollyanna McBain.
Kwe, hello in Mi'kmaq culture. Min Dalawaysin Pollyanna McBain. My name is Pollyanna McBain. I love using my culture when I can. It's important. I'd like to give you blessings today. Blessings to the Multicultural Association for all that you do. I would love to sit in your office someday and feel all the different cultures around me. I don't get to do that often. Yes, I get to do that in the school. But when you're adults, you can share all your knowledge. Creator, I want to thank you for all the things that we received today. I want to ask you for our guidance and a smooth transition to the meetings and to the workshops. For it's important for Multicultural Association and for the human rights of people. Your human right, my human right. And sometimes we forget about that, about our human rights, and feel that we're stuck and we can't move. We can move. You need to know that you're just as important as the next person. It doesn't matter the color you are. On my medicine wheel, everybody's represented. And there's a reason for that. It's so that we can understand differences in culture and we can learn from each other. It's about mutual respect. My grandmother always used to say, someday, we can pray that all these cultures learn in peace and harmony. And that's all we've been asking for, is that everybody live in peace and harmony and accept the differences of the different colors of the world. That's who we are as Indigenous people. O Great Spirit, whose voice I hear in the wind, hear me. I am young, small, and weak. I seek strength, O Great One, not to be superior to my brothers, but to conquer my greatest enemy, myself. I seek wisdom, the lessons you have hidden under every leaf and rock, so I may learn to carry this message of life and hope to my people. May my hands respect the beautiful things you have made. May my eyes ever behold all your beauty. Creator, accept us. Accept us as we are, in our beautiful colors with beautiful smiles. I want to thank you for asking me to provide a blessing to you. It's an honor. And you know what? It's important to keep this world so colorful. And don't fear your color, embrace it. I tell that to all my students. And they look at me kind of strange, like, where do you come from? It's important to share unconditional love. And I do my best to do that to everybody. So I wish you plenty of love within your workshops and truly unconditional. Thank you for asking me for the blessing. Taho. Hi, hi.
Hi, hi. And just so you know, hi, hi means thank you in the Cree language, and it also means you're welcome. Those were beautiful and powerful messages. We will now listen to the Human Rights Proclamation by Mayor Sandy Bowman.
Hello everyone, Mayor Sandy Bowman here. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which you live, learn, work, and play is Treaty 8 territory, the traditional lands of the Korean Dene and the unceded territory of the Métis. Today I'm pleased to deliver a proclamation that reflects our commitment as a region to human rights. In Fort McMurray, Buffalo, we're working together to reduce inequalities and ensure that all people live equal in dignity, rights, and responsibilities without discrimination. Whereas Human Rights Day is observed every year on the 10th of December in commemoration of the day on which the United Nations General Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. And whereas human rights principles are enshrined in the Canadian Immigration and Refugee Protection Act of 2001, which grants a full protection and maximum social, cultural, and economic benefits to immigrants and refugees. And whereas these principles acknowledge that all individuals are equal as human beings because of the inherent dignity of each human person and reject any act of discrimination towards equity-deserving groups. And whereas we recognize the need to address and find solutions to deep-rooted forms of discrimination that have affected our most vulnerable people and societies, including women and girls, Indigenous peoples, Black people, religious minorities, members of the 2S LGBTQIA++ community, migrants, and people with disabilities. However, they're not alone in their equity-seeking efforts. And whereas in Wood Buffalo, individuals, institutions, and social profits have come together to reduce inequalities and to recommit to the principle that all persons are equal in dignity and rights and responsibilities, regardless of race, religious beliefs, color, gender identity, sexual orientation, physical or mental disability, age, ancestry, place of origin, or otherwise. And whereas the Multicultural Association of Wood Buffalo encourages greater awareness, education, and advocacy on universal and inclusive human rights for all within our diverse region and beyond. Now therefore, I, Sandy Bowman, Mayor of the Regional Municipality of Wood Buffalo, do hereby proclaim December 10th, 2021 as Human Rights Day, Reducing Inequalities, Advancing Human Rights.
Please welcome the Multicultural Association of Wood Buffalo Board Chair, Dango Gogo. She will speak about today's human rights event.
Thank you everyone for being here today. We're here to celebrate the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is held every year on the 10th day of December. This year marks the 73rd anniversary of the Declaration of Human Rights. Human rights are referred to the internal and external privileges that all human beings are presumed to have, such as freedom to life, liberty, equality, as well as freedom from slavery, torture, and freedom of opinion and speech. Canada has enshrined these privileges in our Constitution and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. However, even these privileges that our great country and the Creator has bestowed upon us have been abused, trampled, and sometimes taken away from us. This year, the Human Rights Day theme is Equality, Reducing Inequalities, Advancing Human Rights. Equality is all about creating an unprejudiced society where all members of society are the same, have the same rights and privileges. The Multicultural Association of Wood Buffalo is celebrating this day as a practical approach to increase awareness on human rights issues in our region. This event brings together leaders and community members as a way of recommitting to the cause of human rights, to share resources, to educate one another, to educate the general public on regional human rights issues, to prefer solutions and mitigating remedies. We have a panel here today that's going to engage us in beautiful discussions. These beautiful ladies are well respected and really honored to have them here in the room. And I know that they're going to do amazing today and that we will all leave here different, have better perspective of what human rights stands for and what it's about. But I would like to remind everyone that your rights can only be defended by you. You are the one that can stand up for your rights and for the rights of those around you. And if we can each play our parts by doing that, by not overlooking what the other person is going through when it's not affecting you, you have to stand up for your rights. And especially talking to the young people in the room, it is for you and it is your right to stand up for your right. Don't let anybody trample on you. Don't let anybody trample on your friends or take away the rights and the privileges that you have. And the rights and privileges that our ancestors our Indigenous people, all of our ancestors have fought for. Let you guys be in the future always stand to defend those rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Dango, for the wonderful speech. We would like the panel to introduce themselves and tell us briefly what they think about equality and how to achieve it in our community.
My name is Munali. I'm a social worker. I work for Northridge Society, and I'm also a board of director with MCA.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Funke Banjoko. I'm the councillor of RMWB Ward 1. I'm a mother and I reside here for 10 years. I'm really happy to be one of the panelists today, and I'm looking forward to learning and also sharing my experience. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Verna Murphy. I'm a resource coordinator with the United Way now. I'm a writer, a mom, wife, resident of Fort McMurray for 16 years now. Really honored and grateful to be here today, and really looking forward to some good conversation this afternoon. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Purva Sharma, and I am a wife, and I'm a mom, and I'm a local home-based business owner, and I'm a board of director in Multicultural also, and in the society vice president. So I just serve my community here from my heart, and I'm glad to be here today as a panelist, and looking forward to see each other how we will carry forward this thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We can now start taking questions from the youth. If anyone has a question, please raise your hand.
My name is Catherine Santiago. My question is, when you hear the words human rights, what comes to mind?
The first thing that comes to my mind is equality, respect, dignity, regardless of your race, color, gender, or also your background, where you come from.
Thank you.
When I hear about human rights, what comes to mind is freedom that should be enjoyed equally by all humans. So regardless of gender, regardless of how we present, background, nationalities, colors, race, there are some basic rights that we should all enjoy, and there are many of them. So that's what comes to mind. And my illustration is, just like we were all born, we all came naked, equally, with humility and same dignity. That's how I believe God intended it to be. So that's what comes to mind. And we should all have same opportunities, same level of freedom, and same in every aspect. That's what comes to mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think for myself, I started thinking about this question when we got our email on Friday, and I think for me over the years it's changed and evolved. I think when I was young, I grew up in a very rural community in Cape Breton, and when I thought about human rights as a teenager, I always thought about someplace else. I thought about children in Africa that were starving, or you had these pictures in your head about people that weren't allowed to vote, or people that were incarcerated wrongfully. And so I always thought of human rights as something that was kind of out there and not really in my own community. And as I grew up, I realized very quickly once I went to college that I had been thinking about human rights completely wrong for most of my life up to that point. And as Dango said earlier, when we don't participate or we don't voice concerns when we see human rights violated, we're just as much at fault by staying silent. So I started using my voice through college by getting involved with groups like Amnesty International, and more involved with politics at that point as well. And then as a writer, and then through my work with palliative care initially, I started realizing there's so many other conversations to have about human rights, whether that's your right to die with palliative care, or your right to vote, your right to run for office as a woman, or as a woman of color. Funke has broken down the barriers in Fort McMurray now. Being the first Black woman elected to council is an amazing feat, but it's also kind of sad that it's 2021 and it's only the first time that it's happening in our community. So I applaud you for the work that you've done to show the young girls in our community that it can be done, and that the next step is for mayor, and then we'll keep going from there. But so the conversation has been different depending on what situation I've been in through my lifetime, and I also talk a lot when I start talking, so I'm really grateful to be here today for some conversation. So thanks.
Thank you.
It's nice to hear Verna Murphy and Munavi and Funke. Yeah, everybody has their own thoughts about this, and my thoughts are totally different because I came from a different background. And when I was a child, we saw, we never faced human right thing in India, in back home. But when I came here and realized, there is such a thing like human rights too exist in this world. So when I got an email, and then I find out what is human rights and how we have to know about it, and how we can educate our kids about these things. So first thing, human rights, in my opinion, it's a freedom to speak whatever language you speak anywhere. You can express your thoughts anywhere. You don't need to be shy. So this is the human right in my thought. And the other thing I want to share that it has to be equality for everyone in our community, whether it is race, whether it is nationality, whether it is a language or religion. You just express yourself, it has to be there. So I am done for this.
Thank you. Okay, we will go on to the second question.
Hi, my name is Daniela Uche Isla. My question for the panelists is, when you think of the word equality, what comes to mind?
So equality means that you should not add my race, my religion, my gender into your biased opinion. Equality should be about everybody should be treated equally, regardless of where you come from. It's a very simple thing, but yet a lot of people struggle with it to this day, to understand that nobody is better than nobody. I can add more to this, but I think I'll give the ladies a chance. That's the first thing that comes to my mind, is we're all equal.
Thank you, Mona. Funke?
Thank you. The word equal means the same measure of treatment, same respect, same opportunities, regardless of your accent. I'll start with that, which to me is no problem. When people tell me I have an accent, I'm very happy to also announce everybody has an accent. So that's one thing we all do. So regardless of whether you come in one color or the other, we should be treated equally. And it extends to the workplace, employment. It extends to legal opportunities or fairness in our judicial system. It extends to politics. We've touched briefly on that. It extends to some careers that seems to be maybe reserved for a certain gender. That shouldn't be. Like I said earlier on, we all came naked, same opportunities, same humility, and same honor as humans. So it cuts across many and all aspects of our lives. Equal in every sense, that's equality. Equal in the way we are perceived, in the way we are seen, in the way we are addressed. That's equality, regardless of differences. Thank you.
Thank you, Verna. Purva? Oh, sorry. Oh, Verna.
Thanks. I think equality, is pretty obvious in some subjects where people, should have equal rights, as Funke said, to vote or, attend whatever school you want, or just all those things that seem so obvious to so many people. But then you start having other conversations and you realize that we still have a lot of work to do in many, many areas. And even for myself in the last 4 years, I realized that even just looking at services through different lenses, whether you look at delivering a service equally to somebody that has a disability, or if it's a senior person, what does that service look like? How can we provide those services better so that everybody feels that they're receiving the same service or the same treatment equally? And some things, like when we don't have that personal experience, we just don't think about it. And just as examples is, when you're working on city projects, when you look at projects through the lens of a woman as opposed to just a man or somebody with a disability over somebody that is capable body, you see discrepancies in different things all the time. Women, when they're getting off buses, they're wanting to get off a bus in a well-lit area that's safe. Men wouldn't necessarily automatically think of those things when they're getting off of a bus. So as women, we're constantly thinking about our safety and, how we're perceived in society. And, so there's still lots of gender inequalities between men and women. But when you extend that and you look at a senior that's getting off a bus, they want a well-lit area and stuff as well for their safety. But it's also because they might not be as capable to walk or to just maneuver. So there's lots of different conversations that we can have about equality and inequalities as well. And right now, one of the big ones that my kids are talking about in our house is just the right to be able to own a home. Financially, it's getting harder for young people to access that, purchasing power to be able to just have their own house. And another one is that I was just reading yesterday that in North America and Europe, there's between 82 and 84 people per 100 that are fully vaccinated. But when you look at countries like South Africa, it drops to less than 5 per 100. So they don't have the same equal opportunity to be vaccinated just because they are living in poorer countries. So those are continuing conversations that, even though it might be far away, it's still really important to be aware of those things in our countries, because again, if we stay silent on that, it does affect us in the long run. So, thank you.
Thank you, Verna.
Thank you. To equality is when no human being is discriminated against because of their race, religion, gender, age, or nationality. Thank you.
Thank you, Purva. Third question.
Hello everyone, my name is Uswa and my question is, do you think Canada is doing a good job in maintaining equality within human rights?
We still have a lot of work to do. We have the issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women. And we also have the issues of the basic need of human right on Indigenous community, that they don't have water, clean water to drink. And we have the Bill 21 in Quebec, where a Muslim woman could not perform her duty with a hijab on. I think that's a lot of work that needs to be done, because everybody, they have the right to practice, and they have the right to have the basic need of human right and water and safety, and also religion. That still goes under the umbrella of human right. And we also have the racism and the discrimination for Black and Indigenous people in Canada. So when I compare it to where I come from, yes, where I come from is still 14 years old. They get married or they've been told they can't finish their education because they're female. But when we think of Canada, we also have our issues here that still need a lot of work. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. When we look at Canada in comparison with other countries, especially certain countries in certain parts of the world, one would applaud Canada, that Canada is doing well. But when we look at the place of Canada in the world, I mean, Canada is one of the countries that others are looking up to. And so they set the standard. Canada, the US and Britain and other such advanced countries, so to say. But there's so much more that Canada can do. I was surprised to find out that statistics have shown, not only Canada, but these advanced countries, that for every dollar that men make, statistics, that's general, and I'm not going to say particular company or a particular organization, but what has been established is that when a man is earning $1, a woman will be earning about 0.73, that's like 73 cents. So that's like a quarter of earnings are taken away from women. I actually argued when I first heard it, and I dug into it and found out that indeed there are still some practices that are discriminatory towards women. So I hope that when anyone who is listening, who is hearing this, and they are in position to make changes, they dig into this, find out what could be done. And so in Canada, we can improve on also the treatment of Indigenous communities. They are the original owners of the land that we reside in. And it's just the irony of life from the beginning of creation that men try to oppress, be better, or take away from men. Unfortunately, it's always men against men. We need to do more. We need to go back to truth and reconciliation and do better, accelerate the plans, work with the people. Don't push the solutions to them, work with our indigenous communities. We need to also do better in terms of religion practices. This is not only for Muslims, even for Christians. There are places you go to and people are a bit afraid to declare that they are Christians. Shouldn't be so. For the Muslim, it's more obvious because of the dressing, but I tell you, this is not only about a particular religion. People are still being intimidated and not being able to identify openly of their, the way they worship and all that. And that's one of the rights, fundamental human rights. So we should be able to assemble and we should be able to practice our religion. People shouldn't be afraid to go to work. And sometimes even when these are reported to authorities, the way some of these are pushed under the carpet, we can do better in Canada. Thank you.
Thank you, Funke. Verna?
Thanks. Yeah, as the lady said, there's still a lot of work to be done. Even like I did serve as a counselor for 4 years, and during that time, from the time that I had been elected until when I was going into the 4th year, we were still learning and adapting our bylaws just to be more inclusive and be equal, and we adopted more calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Report just 4 months ago. So even as a municipality, we're still trying every day to be more inclusive. So I think we learn as we go, and we're definitely doing better than we did when I was in high school. It's way more different. The conversations are a lot more open now. If I ever sat down, well, my parents would never sit down with me. I mean, I'm 48 and we've never ever talked about sexuality or, and as a Catholic, it's, as you mentioned, you're almost embarrassed to admit that you're Catholic now because it's such there's such a stigma to it. But that was the only religion that I ever knew, so it's very hard to have faith and love your religion, but kind of feel embarrassed by the whole institution of the actual church. And those are things that I've only felt comfortable saying out loud really in the last couple of years, even though I had felt that way for many years. So we still have a long way to go. It's good that we are having those harder conversations. And I was actually shocked during the campaign through the summer to have several conversations with female teachers that still felt that they couldn't be open about their sexuality in the classrooms or in their life in general. And I was kind of shocked by that. And that was mostly female teachers with that issue. So I think there's still some conversations that need to be had. And it was kind of funny because I asked one of these female teachers saying, if they were open about their sexuality in their own life, that would be a great example for girls that might be struggling with it, and they'd feel more comfortable if they identified with that teacher. But they really actually thought that they might lose their job if they were open about that. So lots of hard conversations still to have, but I think Canada is, far ahead of many countries that have not even started some of these conversations. So this is a good forum to start for our own community for sure.
Thank you, Verna.
Yeah, I do agree with all of you. Yeah. I don't have anything to say now because they already said what we are facing and what we have these days now. So yeah, we all can get involved in these things and improve by ourselves too. So what we want for ourselves, we should do it for other people too. So in that way we can improve these things. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Fourth question.
Hi, my name's Rafida Khalil, and my question is, as you look towards your own future, how important do you think it is for the youth of my generation to learn and understand about human rights?
I really feel youth, like you guys, you observe a lot of information more than my generation. And yes, I look young, but I'm not young, trust me. So there's a lot of work that is being done. Previous generation have made it to this, where we at right now. I believe a newer generation is going to make it even great because you guys are bold, you're woke, you always speak of matters, you don't brush things under the rugs like my generation did. I have hope that your generation is going to take it to the next level, and hopefully clean water and indigenous community will not be a problem in the future. We came a long way for what it was. A woman of color could not have sat and talked to you today, but we're here, and it's still the legacy you guys going to take it to another level. I believe I have completely faith on you guys.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Funke.
Thank you. A few years ago, I thought I was very young. 40 was old to me, and it's amazing how you quickly catch up and join the the leaders, right? So don't think you are too far away from when you begin to take decisions and begin to lead people and lead organizations. That's one. Two, I think it was Dango that mentioned it. It's the responsibility of all of us. It's discrimination is by people, basically. So it's all of us. We just have to hold with accountability. Let it start with each one of us. Hold yourself accountable. How do you treat other people who are not like you in maybe one way or the other? So you don't even have to wait till later. We can start with you right now. So it's important that you are informed and you know the impact of discrimination. And I'm sure some of us have seen this like a joke that when you see kids, they don't really know who is black and who is white. Kids just see the boy next door or the girl next door. It's when we start growing up and we start having some ideas, hearing things, being taught. So let's start with us and let's start right now. Hold yourself accountable, and in your effort to fight racism or discrimination in any form, also we need to be careful not to be racist against other people. So in my bid to not want Verna to treat me in a funny way, we all need to be careful not to be the one that is racist against other people, if that makes sense. So it's important that you are informed, you are educated, and we make it a culture from now until when you begin to also lead. So it's all of us, and I will take it further. I see mostly females here today, so I think I will address women. For me, I'm unstoppable. I don't fear competition. I cannot be intimidated. Like I said, if you think my accent, you don't hear me, I'm going to repeat myself as many times. ask until you can hear me. So don't be stopped. Don't be intimidated. Keep going. You come in this color. You come in this gender. That's what God wants for you. Make the best of it, and don't let anyone make you think less about yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Funke. We'll go to Verna.
Thanks. It's funny because Muna said, that sitting here today, like as a woman of color, that's a step in the positive direction for you. But when I was first asked to be on the panel, I was saying, well, I'm just a white woman that, I grew up a pretty sheltered life. But when I went to college, I was like a kid in the candy store. I had so much exposure to different cultures and races, and I thought to myself that I had missed out on so much. So I literally couldn't get enough after that. And in the last number of years living in Fort McMurray, I've gotten to work with all of these women at some level, at some point. And because we've all been able to have open, honest conversations, we've learned so much about each other's cultures and about the way we approach different subjects. And I wouldn't have had that opportunity if I'd lived in another community. But it's kind of funny because in the last 2 years, a lot of people in town have started kind of putting that stamp on me that I'm a feminist. And in the beginning, it made me very uncomfortable. I was very defensive about it, and I'm like, no, I'm not a feminist. It was almost like it was I was thinking of it as an insult, I think. But especially in the last 2 years during the pandemic and everything, I've realized that we shouldn't limit ourselves on our own thoughts. My first thought was, well, as a white woman, I couldn't give anything today that was gonna reverberate or resonate with young girls and young girls of color especially, which is ironic because my daughter is First Nations and Black, and I've made myself learn so much about her culture in the last 12 years, but also looking at the world through her eyes. And as an example, I can give you a couple of Christmases ago, I kept saying, don't you want this product? Don't you want this? All the girls want this. And I'll never forget her looking at me, and we have been watching an ad of this product on TV, and she's like, Mom, none of those girls look like me. And I was just floored that I had never thought of that before, and something that might appeal to me as a white girl growing up, she totally did not care for, which it was a funny moment, but it was a really educational moment for me as well. And I think that we'll continue to screw up our kids and our relationships and everything if we're not honest and open and just have those conversations and really continue the work. The way Funke had said, if we all just go about our own business and we don't care about what's happening at our neighbors or happening with our neighbors, it's not really the world that I want to live in, and that's not the community that I want Fort McMurray to be either. So it really is all of our responsibility in one way or another, even if it's just small things, reaching out to your classmates or somebody that's at the bus stop or whatever it is. We never know what's going on in each other's lives, and it might actually make a difference. So I know I always tend to be long-winded, but I eventually get to my point. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Verna. Purva?
Thank you. As a new generation, I said all girls and all women and every gender, they has to know about the human rights, what human rights they have. They should be educated about those human rights. and how they can use it and what time they can use it if they feel any discrimination at any point. Like as Verna said about her daughter, now I remember about my daughter also. When she was in school, she used to tell me, Mama, that other girl was telling me I'm a brownie. And she felt so bad.
It's definitely a sensitive topic for
So she
moms.
felt so bad. But I stand with her and I went to the school and I talked to the principal. I said, this is not a way to talk with a small kid who is still in a grade 1. And so the principal, she was really good lady, and she said, don't worry about it. And she talked with the other kids in the class. But at that point, I learned that I have a right to say about it, speak about it. And I told my daughter also, don't give up about anything.
Yeah.
We are in this country and this is our country. This is our home. Just stand about the thing. So till then, she never afraid about anything. She's in Girls Inc. And yeah, she's a bold girl. And she's one of the inspirational girl in my community. So she inspires everyone. She stands for the girls too. So yeah, that's the thing what I want to share with you. Just never afraid about anything. Just stand for it.
Thank you, Purva.
I just want to add also, for those who don't know this, but a principal and a vice principal, that's one of the responsibility to take care of the children, that every student should be equal. It should be treated equal. No student should feel they're being treated differently, regardless if they're disabled or their race. And if any parent feel that way, they should talk to the principal. And if the principal is not responding the way parent like it, then you can go to the board. You can go on top of that to make sure your kids feel safe. It shouldn't get to that point, but as a parent, we need to do that for our kids.
That's true.
Thank you. So important for the youth of this generation to bring more awareness of human rights for your guys' generation, and always stand up for what's right, no matter what. We could go on to the next question.
Hi, my name is Dua Khan, and my question is, if more young people learned about human rights, what would change and what impact would that have on the country?
I think when young people learn about this, we can even go with if you believe on an issue, you can advocate for it and fight for it and speak about it. If you feel as a Muslim woman, you believe on that mission, you should, I don't know, probably I'm not saying it the right way, but I believe each youth, if they take a different categories and they all work together, I think we can get to a safe place for everybody. Does that make sense?
Like more sharing
Exactly.
and healthy environments.
Like I advocate every day for newcomers in the community, and you advocate for Indigenous women, for example, and we both work together. And then Funke comes and talk about discrimination. Then all of us together, we can make it a safe place for everybody, right? Because I believe the people are the one who makes the country a country, right? Yeah.
With love and kindness, girl.
Huh?
With love and kindness.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you. Funke?
Thank you. So when we are all We have the information, we are educated, we don't shy away from the truth of the matter. You know what is going on. One, you'll be able to, and like I said earlier on, you'll be able to hold yourself accountable to start with. Because all the steps, everything we're talking about starts with each one of us. So you will be able to treat people fairly, with every fairness, whether friends or classmates or people that you work with, if you have that knowledge and if you know the impact. I'm going to refer to, I'm sure, a beautiful girl that is being called Brown, and the impact even on the mom today. And I don't think this happened last night, right? So it could be so touchy and emotional, and this could make her withdraw, and this could also affect her academic performance. So we know that this has negative impact on people. Then we'll be able to adjust the way we do things. So, and we will be able to also stand. We should be able to stand with one another and stand our ground. We are equal. I'm as good. My color doesn't make me any less. My gender, my religion doesn't make me any less. And the impact on our society, on the country, will be that we'll be able to harness all the different skills that we have. Will people be able to optimize all that they have in them? People won't be intimidated. They will volunteer information. They will come up and be their best, which means we'll together as a society, as a country, as Abada, as Fort McMurray, then we'll be projecting the best. We'll be harvesting the best of each one of us. And that's where we want to get to. We want to get to a place of freedom, then it's all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Verna?
Yeah, I think that the youth is already on board. I think you guys know more than what my generation knew for sure. And I think even in our own family units, like my sons are 24 and 22, and then our daughter is 12. The most racist things that happened to us were perpetuated by people of my age. It usually comes from the older people. It never really came. We've had a few incidents at school, as you said, but for the most part, the worst incidents that we've had actually came from older people. So I think we can learn a lot from the youth, and your age group is much more welcoming and much more inclusive, I think, than what we were definitely when we were your age, and much more politically correct as well. But I think that, so I think that we can learn from the youth, but I think, of course, the youth need to really pay attention to the issues and be informed, as Funke said, because when you're not informed, and especially this day with social media being what it is, it's very easy just to make assumptions about different groups, and that's a very dangerous thing, and it always has been, and it always will be. So don't make assumptions, I guess, would be my advice, and don't just always try to educate yourself, whether it's on a subject or if it's in politics. Inform yourself about the candidates. I always gave that advice to my kids about everything, though. It's like when you're going to look for a doctor, talk to people, see who you're feeling comfortable with. So just always try to inform yourself like the best that you can in life, and with human rights, just keep doing what you guys are doing. Like, you guys are actually setting the example and setting the bar for women like me. Like I've learned so much from the youth in our community the last number of years because I've been willing to come to the table and have conversations. Some senior people, and I say senior people, I mean older people in town, are very dismissive of the youth that we have here. But there's lots of exciting conversations happening. Like there's even a youth in town that's trying to get the federal government to lower the age for voting. And those are great things. Like, and if we never have those conversations, we're never going to get those things done. And I find that the youth actually educate themselves better than the majority of the electorate. So I'm actually excited to see if they'll bring forward that change. Thanks.
Thank you, Verna. We'll go to Purva.
The new generation is really more educated than us.
Yes.
And yeah, they can, but get education in a right way, not from the TikTok or any other social media. Yeah, just talk with the people, whoever belongs with other cultures. So just when you talk with the people, you will get an exact idea of what culture from they belongs to, and what real things they have in their culture. Because the TikTok and the WhatsApp or the Facebook or some other social media, they will give you some funny videos. They can show you that this thing is going on in the air these days, but you won't get a good idea and real idea from those social media. So just talk with the people. That's the most important thing. Just go in those groups, whatever you like, just talk with them and get the information from the people. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, the benefit of speaking first is that you get to go through your thoughts and come up with another
And learn.
idea. Yes. So I want to add also a few years back at my work, they hired a transgender woman, and I grew up as a Muslim woman. I never been in contact with a member of the LGBTQ that I knew of, right? So for me, it was something that I needed to learn and make sure that I don't have a biased opinion to begin with. So a little bit I was nervous, and mainly I was nervous because I did not want to mispronounce the person and also hurt their feelings. For you guys, you don't think of that twice.
No.
It's easy. Yeah. They, them, and you're good to go. For me, I don't know how to use they and them, and it took a lot of practice. And the reason that I'm talking about that is educating yourself. A lot of time, if you don't educate yourself, you cannot move from your bubbles. You're always stuck in that bubbles, and you always think of your own ways. I think a lot of the young generation, you guys are more on board when it comes to disability, when it comes to woman power, when it comes to equality at job, you know it. For us, we have to learn about it because it was not the norm. I'm pretty sure it's same for Funke and Verna, and it's just the age generation thing, right? And we get to learn it, and hey, if we do it, everybody should be able to do it. Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, so I just want to say something too. I know I'm the moderator, but I have stuff to say. So the youth are now our advocates. We must learn and walk with one another. That is truth and reconciliation, is when you could walk with one another, then you know the path that they're on. So once you could do that, you know, the education part is huge as well. That's how we move along in life, is by educating one another of our ways and who we are as human beings and what we follow or practice, or, you know, whatever, how we choose to live, is just by being accepting. And that's the biggest impact, what I would find, if more people learned about human rights. And if they spoke about it, and if they educated one another, I believe that we could all make a better future generation for sure. Thank you. So we'll go on to number 6, question 6.
Good afternoon. My name is Shaun, and my question is, what barriers do race, religion, and gender minority groups face while developing careers? And do you feel as though those barriers have changed over the past few years?
So I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to start with Purva.
So, you don't want me to speak twice?
Thank you, Lisa. And actually, frankly speaking, I never faced any discrimination by myself because of religion or any color or any race or anything. Yeah, but since when we came here and I grew up my kids here, yeah, I felt that with them, this thing exists here. Before that, I didn't realize that there is any discrimination in this country. But yeah, if you face it in a bold way, you feel it, yeah, you can do it, or what you want from others, if you just give them back in a respected way, so things will go well. So yeah, because of religion and anything else, I said respect everyone, respect each other, so you will get respect from them too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have kind of a different perspective on the question, especially the last few months. So this last year, I took on the initiative to run for mayor and lost. And it was a whole journey and a whole experience. But through that experience, it was shocking to me as a 48-year-old woman how often I was told that if I was a man, they would have voted for me. And if somebody had told me that like 6 months ago, I would have said no. And through the summer when I went door knocking, I was out door knocking every single day. And I was probably 2 weeks into door knocking, and my husband took 4 or 5 days off and he came with me. And on day 2, he couldn't believe some of the things that were said to me as a female. It was still shocking. It's 2021, and people are saying, I'm not capable of doing a job and look after my kids, even though most of my kids are grown, but Shailene's still at home. It was shocking to me that people would say things about the way I looked, the way I dressed, my weight. It was constant. It was every day. It was a blow to the ego almost every day to go out and to expose myself to that, and then go home at the end of the day and process it. And you really had to process it in a way of, they just don't know what they're saying. They just don't realize the effects that their words are having. Otherwise, I would just internalize it and probably combust. So it was an eye-opener, and there's definitely some inequalities in politics that still exist. We would be in meetings, and we would go to meet with mostly other men. It was a lot of other men that you were always meeting with, and it was eye-opening in the beginning that we would go to Edmonton, and there would be 500 people in the room, but there might only be 10 women. That was like a learning curve at the beginning too. But then towards the end of the term, we would get to know some of these people, and they would still only address the men in the room most of the time. They would only make contact with the men, eye contact with the men. Questions would only be directed to the men. So it was, we'd like to say that that doesn't exist anymore, but it really does. And as far as racism and that goes as well, again, I go back to that, I grew up in a rural community, pretty sheltered growing up. And I never really understood what white privilege was until we became foster parents and went through the adoption process. And it was a real eye-opener to see how, you know, in the education system, in the law enforcement, in the healthcare, I definitely think, and I've experienced systemic racism. It was through the eyes of my daughter, but it was a real eye-opener to hear people say about my child, well, she's just Native, and you know, what does that mean? Like, she's just Native, or she's just a foster kid. So even the way that we address people, or you know, we have conversations with people and we make those assumptions. When I go back to those assumptions, it's very, very dangerous. And I didn't really think, like Purva, that racism, like, you know, didn't affect me, it didn't affect my family. But when it does, it's devastating. And it was at that point that I realized that I never understood, like you said, when you walk in somebody else's shoes. And it's very, very hard as a white mom to hear my daughter say things that people might say to her and stuff. And I can't say that I really, really understand, because I've never had that experience that she's had. So I'm very aware of the way that we talk to each other, the way that we communicate with each other. And as a writer, I'm very aware of our words, and I wish other people would be as aware of how much damage their words can do to people, not just their actions. Thanks.
Thank you. I really like that, you know, you said about the actions and the words, because if we had more love and kindness, you know, the world would be a nicer place for sure. Funke?
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. We see barriers and unjustifiable distinction based on people's whether it's color or sexual orientation, or even the fact that we just don't like the look or the way they are, and those inequality in treatments, generally unfair treatment, and therefore some opportunities are withdrawn or not given, even if the reasons are not verbalized, maybe because of policies in some places, but they still exist, and we just have to keep facing them to remove them, to reduce them until we get to where we want to go. One major one that comes to mind as Verna was talking was the issue of policing, for instance, which is unfortunately many countries, many provinces, Canada and different nations can relate to the issue of unfair policing of a certain group of people or color and all that. So that is still there. And I'm a career woman before I became a politician. So in workplaces, you see unfairness, and somehow we just endure this. Lots of people work and they're unhappy. They are not fairly treated, but because they need to pay their mortgage, they just keep going. That shouldn't be so. So there are different kinds of discrimination. Racism, we've beaten that to death. We know that that's a daily routine, and unless we develop thick skin, you can't do anything. Some people are like that, but it's all of us against the few people who would not respect other people. So if we would all do this, we can make the changes that we expect, which is fairness to all men and all women and all men. So especially for us also, like Verna pointed out in politics, actually some were asking if I just wanted my name to be out there. That was the question that came to some minds. But we can't let all those comments stop us, or discrimination, or any naive or negative push. We can't let it stop us. So if we would all work together as a people, respectful of one another, then the world will be a better place. It will be a true free place for all of us. Thank you.
Hi. Funke, I just want to say I love your name.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Luna.
Okay. So there is a lot of barriers. And we know that because if you go to the hospital, you can see it. Not many nurses, not many registered nurses, or even at my work, I see it. I'm a lot of time that I'm the only Black person there. And it's hard to believe that not many enough Black women are qualified to do the job that I'm doing. And I think a lot of time too, people assume because of your race or because of your accent, you are incapable of performing your duty on the job, and they got passed on the opportunity. It's just easier to give it to someone else who you connect with better. But in reality, I mean, we're the spice, right? We make anything that we touch amazing. I think they all need the spice, right?
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah. So I think people just need to keep in mind that your accent, your race, your culture, it does not make you a less of a person to perform your duty and your job. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Since we're almost out of time, what is the main message that each panelist would like the audience to take away? And we'll just go with whoever wants to start first.
I can start. So the youth can educate their parent, their grandparent, when they're using a racial alert. I think that's the word. Or they're, you see them saying something wrong, or you heard them saying something wrong. Do the education at home. I know it takes a lot of work, but we want our family to be kind. We don't want a lot of Karen running around, right? So a lot of time is just, I know it's a lot of responsibility for the youth, but remind your parent, your grandparent to be kind and to not be stuck in their own biased opinion.
Thank you. I'm just going to ask Verna if she has anything to say.
I just want to thank the Multicultural Association and Girls Inc. for putting this on today. Just acknowledging Human Rights Day, it starts a conversation. You have the proclamation from the mayor, and they do that during the council meetings, and it often just starts that conversation. So it was really good for the groups to put this panel discussion together. When I was growing up, my nanny always said, if you want to make a difference in the world, go home and start there. Mm-hmm. And I always kind of carried that with me. And if things are messed up at home, it's not a good base to start with either. But just keep having the conversations even when they're uncomfortable, and don't always think that you're going to be able to change everybody's minds or influence them, because that's not always going to happen, and just move on and leave them in negative light that they want to sit in. And just try to be positive. Like Una said, it's being positive every day is a much better way to live, like, your life in general. But it's negative energy drains you and stuff too. So I know that sounds kind of corny or whatever, but I think we just sometimes forget that we all have our own stuff going on in our homes, in our workplace, or whatever. And so, yeah, kindness goes a long way. And good conversation is always fun. So keep having them. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess it's just open to if anyone else on the panel has anything to say while we close. If you don't, we'll just move on.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us. Thank you to the Multicultural Association. Thank you for the opportunity for us to come and share the ideas and also to learn from one another. So for me, the key message, parting shots from me will be that each one of us has a part to play. Let's hold ourselves responsible and accountable in your own space, in your own world, where you have influence. Let's treat people with dignity and honor, the same way we would like to be treated. And if you are if you are standing by and you see unequal treatment, unfair treatment to anyone, speak up. And also for yourselves, like I said earlier on, don't allow yourself to be intimidated or to be stopped. And most of the discriminations that go on are not backed by the law, whether it's police or by the authorities in organizations. So don't be afraid to speak up against any unjust treatment. Don't. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Funke. I just want to add to that. It's a universal tool that everybody could utilize. It's called an ancient medicine wheel, and it represents 4 quadrants of yellow, red, black, and white. And what that means is we are all one. We are all one human race. We all belong, and we all bring value and gifts to this world. And again, that is part of my walk as an Indigenous person, and I just wanted to share it with you and let you guys know that, it's up to you. You're the youth, the next generation, and you need to bring these messages forward, to help our future generations. And I just want to thank you all for coming as well. Next, we're going to listen to a video statement of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet.
The past 2 years have painfully demonstrated the intolerable cost of soaring inequalities. Equality is at the heart of human rights. That doesn't mean we must all look the same, think the same, or act the same. Quite the opposite. It means that we embrace our diversity and demand that all be treated without any kind of discrimination. That no matter who we are, who we love, or where we live, we have equal opportunities to live in dignity and to pursue our dreams. That from the moment we are born, anywhere on this planet, we have the same rights to life, health, and education, to speak our minds without fear, to enjoy our days in a healthy environment. All of us. Equality is about empathy and solidarity, about understanding that as a common humanity, our only way forward is to work together for the common good. But the inequalities inflamed by COVID-19 are pushing us backwards. It is about time we push back and bring them down. On this Human Rights Day, I invite you to join me in lending your name and your efforts to equality, so that we can recover better, fairer, and greener from this crisis. so that we can rebuild societies that are more resilient and sustainable, so that we can stand up for human rights for all.
That was a powerful message. So let me conclude by thanking all of you for your time, valuable insights. Indeed, you are shaping an important dialogue and providing ideas to respect, protect, and fulfill human rights and fundamental freedoms. We look forward to welcoming you again in our future events. And last but not least, so Indigenous protocol is you always open with a prayer and you close with a prayer. And I recently learned some Cree. It was never taught to me growing up. It was something that was taken away from me. It was shamed upon and frowned upon to speak your native language, but I'm starting to learn it. So I'm going to say a closing prayer in my Cree language, and it's very short and easy. Natawinan, kinanaskam tanan, pimatsawin, hi hi. And it means Creator, I am thankful for the life I am living. So thank you all for being here and for listening to our panelists and for our human rights messages.
Thank you.